This is where we get our water from. It comes straight out the ground, about 10 metres away, comes through here, up here. There's 2 filters and there's a UV filter. To be perfectly honest, I've drunk it straight out of the ground and it's fine. There's another tap for the sheep trough where you don't have to go through this system, and it tastes just the same, it's just as nice. It's beautiful water, and I mean actually it's from the same aquifer as far as I know that Brighton and a lot of mid-Sussex gets its water from. So the sense of connectedness with our water supply is obviously very strong here, and it's one of the reasons that, one of the reasons for concern. Actually, that filter there needs changing.
So that's where the water comes through.
That's where the water
directly
comes
from
through.
the ground.
Yeah, it's coming through that one, through here, and then it goes up, goes through the UV, then it goes along here, round there. If you come out here, coming straight out of the ground there. And actually, I mean, it's gorgeous. And that, I mean, it's so precious. I feel very connected to it because that's how we get our water. It's coming straight from under our feet. I think a lot of people have become slightly disconnected because it comes via southern water or southeast water. When you get your water straight from the ground, you know how precious it is. Yeah. Oh, I've got a little bug in there. Well, I think it already has affected us. This very nice shepherd's hut you can see here is part of a rural small business, which is ecological tourism, and people love it. There's a barn out box down there, and that's all based on people being able to be in a beautiful environment. If Sussex is fracked, or even the threat of it, the planning, what people think the future holds, it's all in question. I've got my yearly insurance quote here from the NFU. It's about £850 now. They don't know what's going to happen. How's it going to affect farmland? How's it going to affect the stability of farm buildings, that a lot of them aren't built on foundations? There are so many uncertainties, and that's already happening, just the threat of it. So it's not good.
Well, how would it affect you if you couldn't get insured?
Well, you can't run a business. I mean, you can't have, public liability insurance. I mean, it depends. There's so many different areas of insurance, but you can't function, can you? With a business, you have to have insurance. So if you can't have, I mean, I'm sure the insurance connected with the campsite would probably be okay, but there are just so many unknowns, and they're not being considered. We have to get lots of licenses to do with our green loo, we have to get various permits, and the scale of what we're doing and the care with which we're doing it, and the traditional nature of what we're doing compared with what the oil and gas industry want to do, is off the scale, and yet the government are helping them more than us. The parish council here, when we wanted to have a planning permission for a campsite, kicked up a huge fuss about the fact that we might have, I think we got down to 6 cars a week coming up our farm track. Huge, great big stuff going on in the village about what that was going to do to the serenity of the village. 6 cars a week, I think we were down to. So in some ways, I think lots of small business owners know this. You're leaned on by the authorities because they've got more muscle than you in a way, whereas the big companies, I think they're in awe of them. I think our government, both central and local, are in awe of big companies with huge multi-million-pound budgets, and they don't know how to control them.
Do you think that it's just going to be 1 or 2 wells, or?
Shale gas can't, unconventional oil and gas can't be 1 or 2 wells. The estimate for Upper Bowland Shale from the industry last week was 33,000. That's the thing that people aren't being told, and I think it's really important. It's not just Balcombe, Wisborough Green, Fernhurst and 5 or 10 others. It's 500, 1,500, maybe 15,000 to 20,000 wells in Sussex, because Sir David King gave the evidence at the House of Lords. He said you have to drill, if this got up and running, 2,000 wells every year to keep where you are, because production rates of each well drop off so quickly. So that information's not getting out there, and it really needs to, because when people understand, you know, it's that hill there, it's that field there, it's that one over there, then it brings it home, and waiting until we've got to that point is too late.
Is it just about the water? Is it about the infrastructure that's involved?
I think it's everything really. It's the air, and it's far, you know, owning a farm shows you one angle on things, but it's the same. I mean, we all breathe air, we all drink water, we all eat food, which comes from the soil. So my concerns are connected with business, but to be honest, and that the economics of it are important, because that's what the government is so blinded by. They're thinking about economics and nothing else, from what I can see, which is a big mistake. But it's not just about that, is it? It's about the really basic fundamental things that we all need as a human race, and not just us as a human race, the rest of the planet. I believe that the planet is a living entity. It's got a life of its own, and we're a part of that. So it's the whole lot.
Do you think that the promise that everybody will benefit from this, that the government are making, do you think that will happen?
I think we're going to be able to stop fracking so before it actually gets underway. So I think all the government's promises and comments, none of them hold water. They're about they have as much integrity as wells do over a long period of time. It's just absolute nonsense. They've talked about it being lower fuel costs for people. That's turned out not to be true. They've talked about energy security. We can see that just because you produce something in a country doesn't mean you can keep a hold of it yourself. It doesn't necessarily give us energy security, because it depends who owns the company and who wants to pay the most for the product. And the idea that, you know, we have, I mean, this is something else, but we have to protect the planet, because climate change, the government are talking about climate change being the biggest threat to national security and the environment.
What can you say to people they can do to make a difference?
Inform yourself, and the only one of the best ways of doing that obviously is via the internet. You know, just Google fracking or shale gas, and keep looking, but also talk to people. Look very clearly, what are the government saying now? And remember, what did they say 6 months ago? You know, 6 months ago the government said, oh, we won't do anything without local community support. When they didn't get local community support, they said, oh, we'll give you some money. When that didn't work, then they're just looking at how can we change the law to take away people's rights to stop this.
Do you think that the Environment Agency would be equipped to be able to deal with the number of wells? Would they be able to monitor safely as we've been promised?
No. I mean, it's ridiculous, because if that, then that's probably another reason why they're not saying how many wells it would take. I mean, if we had 1,000 wells, how often do you have to monitor them to make sure they're safe anyway? And you're only talking about the integrity of the well. There's still chemicals that have gone beyond the well casing to do the fracking or acid flush or whatever it is. So as far as the Environment Agency's resources, we can already see, because it's already happened in Balcombe and Lancashire, there have been big problems. They're not equipped. You'd need probably 5 years worth of training for a department. You know, you need to send people out to the States, have a whole training system. In fact, the Royal Society reports sort of recommended that. You know, you need to equip these departments with the proper knowledge, and you can't transfer what's happened offshore. We don't have the skills and expertise right now, and they're starting to try and do it right now.
In Balcombe, they actually had to stop Quadrilla from working, didn't they? Because they broke the limit on the noise pollution.
Yeah, and it was only the Balkan residents that had to go and buy the sound measuring equipment to show that was a problem. So the idea that our regulation would be better than the States or Australia is a farce. I think both Australia and America now have limits of how close you can go to houses, and I think that that we haven't got a limit here. There isn't any distance that you can't go, however close you can go to a house.
And we're also about 100 times more populated.
Yeah, and we've got a completely different geology. We've got a lot more people in number where we have the threat of fracking, who are dependent on aquifers for water supply. I mean, I went to New York in December and was talking to people there, and they said, oh yeah, well of course because of the New York watershed, to protect people in New York, it's a 5-hour drive to the edge of their watershed. And they're not allowed to frack there because they know that doesn't make sense for supplying New York with water. I said, in England, if you drove 5 hours anywhere, you come to the edge of the country. And they shake their head. They think it's mad to do it here. It is mad to do it here.
And you think we'll stop it?
We have to stop it.
How do you feel about people who have taken the sort of non-violent direct actions during the summer at Balcombe, and at the moment that they're doing that at Barton Moss? Do you think that's justified?
Very justified. I'm incredibly grateful to everybody that's taken part in that. We took some firewood and bits and pieces down from the farm to Balcombe. Obviously can't do that for Barton Moss, a bit far, but I'm really grateful to people that take things that seriously, because it is that serious. And I think, well, the suffragette movement, the movement to stop apartheid, there have been lots of things where people have recognised you have to take direct action, you might have to chain yourself to something, you might have to break the law, but if it's important enough, being on the wrong side of the law one day, in a few weeks' time, you're on the right side of the law. And these laws, as Rob Bastow said in court, they're so... the scale of it's all wrong. What people are doing to try and stop this is so insignificant in legal terms to the potential damage that could be caused by this going ahead, and that's totally out of scale.
Do you think we need to get the laws changed in this country?
I think we just need to have politicians that have wisdom and integrity, and then you don't need laws, do you? You just need people to be sensible and understand the future isn't 5 years, it's not 50 years, it's not 500 years, it's 5,000 years. We have to have sanity, and I honestly think some people, it's been shown, I think, in the city, to do with the economics, they're slightly mad.